Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/beat and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/BEAT. What's up, good people quarantined at home? Welcome back to Super Throwback to the Classics, the cinematic movie podcast.
Throwback Quarantine Edition.
You're right, I'm doing it again. Welcome to Super Throwback to the Classics Quarantine Edition, the cinematic movie podcast that takes you back to the iconic films of 20 years ago and beyond. I am your guy, Jay Alonso. Of course, he is with me.
David Danger Neff. How you doing, partner?
What's the deal, dog?
It's been, how long has it been since we've seen each other at this point? I don't think I saw you in April. End of March?
It's been a solid 2 months since we've actually been in the same quarters together.
Room. My God. Has it really been that bad?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to go outside eventually, but you know, it's all good. But what's the deal, man?
Nothing, man. I mean, quarantine's kind of put some home projects together a little bit. As I was kind of showing to you guys, I made a home gym, which is kind of nice, and over at my buddy's house, kind of this house. Been doing a lot of cooking.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of watching of YouTube, and I can't really say I caught a whole bunch of new movies. I did finally watch Long Shot, which that's the Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron movie. That was cool.
Not bad.
Yeah, it was all right. I thought the ending was a little on the nose, but whatever. Arguing with conspiracy theorists, that's a brand new hobby of mine that I really enjoy. Yeah, that's pretty much. Oh, you know what? I have my first. Zeus. Sorry.
That's Dave's dog.
I had my first COVID-19 date.
Really?
Yeah. First date I've been on in 2 years, actually, which I know with a mug like this, how can someone like myself be single for 2 years?
Well, it's like your first date in 2 years. First date in 2 years, and it's a quarantine. I assume via laptop date.
No, we actually did meet up.
Okay.
Because there's been some easing of restrictions and whatnot. So, we met up with masks. We went to Tivoli Village. Let me tell you, that place is still popping. The Leone Cafe over there, and it was almost uncomfortable the amount of people that was there. It's like, okay, guys, really, this is how we're playing this now. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm ready for quarantine to be over.
Oh man, I'm right with you. Me, I've had a pretty normal last week and some change, man. Since the last time we recorded, I have caught a few movies. I've caught The Wrong Missy on Netflix. Yeah, we'll just blow past that. I did catch Body Cam with Mary J. Blige, which wasn't as awful as I was anticipating it to be, but it was rather decent. I caught a few things, but I've been working on other stuff outside of Back to the Classics. As a lot of you know, before I get to that, I've been doing a lot of running, a lot of trails and hiking in the last few days as well.
Getting in touch with that nature aspect of yourself.
Yeah, to get that perfect selfie, to walk outside and to be on this mountain cliff, and then you look at water and get that good picture like this. You know what I'm saying? So, been doing a lot of that. But yeah, so I've been working on some other stuff outside of Back to the Classics. First thing Los called me out for a battle. If you watched Facebook Live last week, you know Los and Kev of the Noise Podcast did a battle. They're calling 20 for 20, in which Los was the year of 2002 hip hop and R&B, and Kev was the year 2005 hip hop and R&B. There's a dog right there too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I did not need that.
But
Sorry.
you got it. But you got it, Paul. You got it, Paul. But
Going on with your battle.
yeah, so turns out Los actually won that battle, and the winner of the battle called out the next person, and he called me out. So this Friday, by the time you guys are watching the show sometime today, at 4 o'clock tomorrow, Friday, me and Los are gonna go at it 20 for 20, label versus label, with Los being YMCMB and me being Rockefeller Records. 20 for 20 tomorrow or today, depending on when you hear the show, 4 p.m. on Facebook Live, 20 for 20, Los and Jay Alonso going at it. YMCMB versus Rockefeller Records.
So, so hold on a second. So it's like Los going up like a pagoda of like villains. Like Kev was supposed to. Kev was the first battle. You're going to be the second battle. You know, you must face yourself with your own family. I'm assuming Skylar's probably going to be third level. Am I the final boss?
I don't know, man. I don't know how we're going about this thing. I know that it was appeared to be like a Mortal Kombat setting of, you know, you kind of just go up to the next villain and all that shit. What I can tell you this though, you know, battling labels versus battling years is gonna be a little different. I'm Rockefeller Records. Los is gonna be YMCMB, which includes Cash Money as well. So, but the stipulation is he can only go up to the year 2013 because that's when my label stopped putting out music under that emblem was 2013. So think about all the stuff that you can't use now and all the stuff that I can use. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm not the one to talk shit on camera. I just rather just perform and do you know my best performance of things. And
What? You think he got this?
I think I got this.
Yeah.
I almost smoked that boy. Come on now. Come on now. I'm gonna smoke that boy. You already know. At least I feel that way. You know what I'm saying? We're going live. We'll let the people talk. You know, definitely jump in the comment section. I wish there was a Rockefeller emoji we could use, but there isn't. So I guess the praying hands or the praising hands probably the closest thing we got. So we can do it like that. And yeah.
Like I'm being held up by somebody. So now I'm curious, like if you and I were to do a 2020, I'm assuming it'd be 2020 movies, right?
So, but what do we do? Will we recite the lines?
No, I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know if there's really a way to do that 20v20 movies. Maybe studios or even years as well, but play a scene from that movie.
Huh? Yeah.
It might work.
Yeah. I mean that make it work, or we can do it like pop, best pop music of like the 2000s. No, man. Tell you something. Backstreet Boys had the shit, man. No, man. NSYNC, bro. Listen, bro, I'm trying to tell you, man.
What would we do pop?
I have no.
I don't even like pop. You don't like pop.
Yeah. I'll be guessing the whole time. Like, I think the song's better than that song. Sorry. Just my opinion.
Yo, I got that Old Town.
You tell you something. You got that Old Town? Listen, 98 degrees of shit on Old Town any day.
Why? Nobody in their right mind is going out of their way saying, I want to see a 20v20. Nobody's doing it for rock music. Nobody wants to hear rock music or country. It has
20 for 20 pop edition. Oh God.
Why? Because white people don't understand how to have beef with each other. They just call the cops.
Sir, listen, sir, I happen to think, what's the old time record that was big? I don't fucking know, man. Look, there goes the joke. Forget about it. But 20 for 20, pop music. I'll be guessing at this point. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So what other stuff you got? You working on, Jay?
Coming up next, of course, 2 Minute Drill Live is coming back, which I believe we're going to officially make it a monthly thing toward the last week of the month. With this being Memorial Day weekend, it would be cool to have it out this weekend, but Memorial Day weekend is this weekend. So next Friday, the 29th, 2 Minute Drill is coming back. People are now signing up. The last time I checked it, we got about 15 people signed up. So it's cool, man. Looking forward to getting back into that burgundy jacket again, and getting our host on and having that little good old hour and a half or however long it went last time. I think we went like good 2 hours. Doing 2 Minute Drill Live. But yo, 2 Minute Drill Live coming back next week. Cannot wait to get back on that burgundy jacket. Matter of fact, my alias is gonna be Stephen Burgundy when I put on that jacket. So
Burgundy, huh?
yeah. What's up, everybody? This is Jay Alonso, aka Stephen Burgundy. Yes, sir. So yeah, 2 Minute Drill Live next Friday on Facebook Live. If you haven't signed up yet, definitely sign up. Just jump on the Beat Network page or on my page on Instagram or Dave's page, anybody's page for Beat Network, and you have the link to go and sign up to play 2 Minute Drill Live, which will be hosted by Bachelor Class Podcast. What more do you need? Come on and jump on in and play the game with us.
But
Dave,
is that all? What else you got for these people?
I think that's all.
No.
I think that's all. Yeah, I believe that's all. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. So my sister won the first 2 minute drill. I'm gonna tell y'all that Hawaiian food that we wound up getting for that that scored the whole family. Delicious.
Thank you, 2 Minute Drill Live.
Thank you, 2 minute drill.
Like you won, you didn't even play. Like, yeah, but that's my sister, so I'm gonna get some of that prize too. Ain't nothing wrong with that. All right, so movie news. Let's cover some stuff.
There's only two big things that happened. Only two big things. I know a whole bunch of people are saying this person's going to star in this movie, this person's going to star in this movie, but it doesn't matter. None of that matters. Goose, be quiet. None of that matters because there's only two big things that happen. And the first one, unfortunately, is going to be a little bit sad. The legendary comedian Fred Willard has passed away at the ripe old age of, I want to say he was like 86, maybe even older.
What was it, like 89?
I was right, 86.
86? Yeah.
He passed away a little over a week ago now. He was as legendary as you could possibly imagine, from This Is Spinal Tap to his film, to his role in Anchorman, to Best in Show, A Mighty Wind, Mascots, For Your Consideration. Willard has been basically in the game since the late 60s, always finding ways to kind of grace the presence through TV and movie. He will be greatly missed, especially for myself, as he was somebody that I still found ways to laugh with him, because he never took himself too seriously. There was never a role that he could play the comedic bad guy, he could play the comedic good guy, he could play the lovable dad or the crazy high uncle. This was a man that was incredibly humble in every aspect of the game, and because of that, he made movies. His presence in movies made it just a little bit better because of that. So, to you, good sir, Thanks for the memories, and rest in peace.
Oh yeah, man, I couldn't have said it better. Um, not only Fred Willard, but also Andre Harrell and Betty Wright and Little Richard also passed away in the last week or two. But this is a movie show, so within our community, Fred Willard is definitely praised as far as his work. And we were just talking before we started recording. For me, it's countless things that he's done that I'll always remember him for. But as I grew up, the two things that always stuck with me was How High, Method Man Redman movie, in which he plays the dean or the chancellor, or one of the two. But his energy in that movie is so live and so it just stood out like crazy. Even like the great scene when he's trying to convince Method Man and Redman to come to Harvard. He goes, "Is that a yes? Oh yeah, oh yeah. I fuck with you. I fuck with you too. Is that a yes? Yeah, that means yes. Then we'll fox with each other." I to this day still cry laugh at that scene. It's such a hilarious scene to me. And then his character itself kind of just brings on this very young purpose. I was actually quite shocked that he passed away and really living a full life.
Yeah,
I said he's 86. I'm like, damn, he was 86. That's
yeah,
crazy. So
that's
so that showed you how youthful he lived and how in tune he was, and the man liked to work. And you know, definitely that. Then my second favorite performance by Fred Willard is definitely Anchorman when he plays the news station director. Um, yo, fantastic movie, man. So I'm with you. As a definite loss to the movie community, the Hollywood community. Um, but he does leave behind a great body of work that can be cherished for years to come. And just like you, sir, I salute Mr. Fred Willard, and I thank you for the memories as well, man.
yeah. It's always tough when you're seeing some of the greats really go like this.
Yeah.
In the next bit of movie news, the long-toothed, rumored, highly rumored Zack Snyder's Justice League cut is
Release the Snyder Cut.
has officially been announced and will be released with HBO Max beginning in 2021. And here is what I'm gathering from the nerd community. For a lot of people, the Justice League movie left a lot to be desired. Schneider had left the project due to the death of his daughter. May she rest in peace. Because of that, they brought in Joss Whedon, and Whedon kind of took over the role. And a lot of people say that because of Whedon's interpretation, everything, it felt more hammed up, basically. Like it was. I know a lot of people that say, well, it was garbage. I don't think it was garbage per se. I really don't see how there was a really true way to make it succeed, especially with the cuts that we got earlier from previous stories. Looking at you, Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, though, there is somewhat of a unique kind of feel to this. Jay, let me ask you, how much do you care about a Justice League Zack Snyder cut?
Well, listen, we are products of today's society in which we want. And really, it's been proven time and time again that when you listen to the fans, studios make better decisions and you get better product. However, to separate the excitement for actually seeing a Zack Snyder version, a Zack Snyder full version of Justice League versus the studio infused, super hammed up Joss Whedon. And no shout to Joss Whedon, but I feel like Marvel and the vibe that Marvel creates is Joss Whedon's neighborhood as opposed to what DC can do. Now, the flip side to that is, even though there's a Zack Snyder cut, and I love Zack Snyder as a director, there's a Zack Snyder cut for Justice League, but there was also a Zack Snyder cut for Batman v Superman,
Right.
and I still didn't care for it.
But to be
So,
fair, there's also a Zack Snyder cut for Watchmen, which generally,
which I love. It's fantastic.
which is kind of where I'm curious if we're going to get a somewhat of an in between. From what I've heard from the people who have seen this, from those in the community that have actually seen this actual cut, because basically, like, the story behind this whole thing was the studio had no interest in releasing this and basically said, you know what, like, who cares? We're ready to move on. We got a whole bunch of movies that we're going to release in 2021 and 2022, which is true. They have 10 actually that they're releasing. And they were like, you know what, we're moving forward from this Justice League thing. Wonder Woman was basically the best part about it. We had no idea what to do with Henry Cavill. So there were a lot of missteps leading up to this, right? And there's still missteps being led. For example, it's heavily rumored that Amber Heard has actually been fired from her role as Mira in Aquaman, which is kind of expected considering all the allegations kind of coming out in her personal life.
Right.
And there's a lot of heaviness that's kind of being drawn. So, from what I've heard it is immensely better than the cut that we got from Justice League, which piques my interest a little bit. Do I think it's going to be amazing? Probably not. But do I think that this could literally be something that if they turned around and looked at it and said, you know what? Now that we've kind of established that this is the direction that we're wanting to go, where can we go from there? Maybe because there were things, there were risks that were taken with the Zack Snyder cut that I'm interested in seeing. That being said, like, I'm kind of taking everything with a pinch of salt. It's like,
you know what? I'm with you. I also feel as if, because from what I also read, that this cut is about 4 hours long. So are you going to do it like how Netflix did the Hateful Eight when they release it episodically, to where it's like 4 1-hour episodes? Because personally, watching the Hateful Eight on Netflix, with the extended edition, making it basically a series, if you will, I rather enjoyed it. I didn't see myself getting too bored with it or anything. And I already enjoy Hateful Eight for what it was, but the fact that it's longer now.
So that makes one of us.
I actually enjoy Hateful Eight a lot, actually. But going to this Justice League thing, I remember seeing Justice League, the final cut, in theaters and just being like, this ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just wasn't it. But I also felt the same way about Batman vs. Superman, which, even though Zack Snyder had final cut, and even with the extended cut that came out, or the R-rated version that came out, like you said, you can't overlook the missteps of the casting of Jesse fucking Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. You have to really kind of get used to the whole Wonder Woman thing before she was like her own thing, and it was just so many things that we were just like, this feels rushed. This feels so rushed.
It did.
You know what I'm saying? And then you compare, if you compare that rollout to what we have now with Wonder Woman, I'll throw Aquaman in there as well. Aquaman was great, and then now with Shazam, it seemed like you kind of have a good hold on what you want to do, how you want to proceed this universe going forward, if it's even still a universe at this point. But to still how you want to proceed from this point on, I'm with you now. Like, nobody's gonna forget the rollout of the DCEU and how fucking sloppy it was.
There's you bring up a lot of good points, and this is kind of where my idea of where they can kind of go with this matters. And I remember DC kind of basically saying something along that, because remember, we got Joker, right?
Right.
So we got Joker. That felt very much like a standalone movie that had nothing to do with the rest of the universe. But now there's talks of, okay, well, this was a movie that made billions of dollars, so of course money is going to drive this pretty heavily. So how can we turn this into some? Then they tried to do other things as well. For example, they try to do they they did Birds of Prey, and Birds of Prey was fine. It wasn't neither terrible nor was it exceptional. It was just a fine movie. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, it's the best DC movie." No, 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 no. Best
It was
DC
cool. All right.
movie in my eyes is still Wonder Woman, with Shazam being a close second. And depending on how I feel, they kind of flip flop with each other, right?
No, Shazam takes that number one spot for me for sure. Wonder Woman's cool. Shazam is great.
Okay. I think there's a way for them to do this, and it's funny because there's already so much talk of expanding the universe to incorporate other things. For example, there's pretty heavy talks right now of Keanu Reeves coming back as Constantine to lead the Justice League Dark
Mm.
series. So I feel like there was so many missteps along the way that I almost kind of want to say to them, okay, guys, like I know that we're trying to do all these things. I know we're trying to make things great, and I know that you guys basically want to start making money hand over fist, but develop, like, progress naturally, let stuff sink in with people, and then move forward.
At least show me that you care.
Right.
Show me
Which,
that you care. Because
which
I'm telling you, like to this day, the Batman versus Superman thing is probably one of the biggest disappointments in not just comic book movie history, just movie history. Period. The
no,
fact is that
I
it was the idea of Batman versus Superman. Yo, sign me up. I remember seeing that weird poster in I Am Legend, in the beginning of I Am Legend. Like, yo, can that really be a thing? Oh shit! And now we got it. It just let you down. It let you down through and through. So, and then even that had a R-rated extended version, whatever, whatever, the Snyder cut, if you will,
that was
and
slightly better.
it didn't do much justice to me. It just didn't.
Right, exactly. It's just money grab after money grab after money grab. But like, this is what I gotta deal with. Zeus, be quiet. Sorry. You're right. Like, I gotta see that there's some point of caring, and I can kind of get the idea of the final point I want to hit out. There were news, obviously, and again, he is a notorious troll when it comes to this stuff. But like Robert Pattinson not working out for the role of Batman, um, and and I get where the fan base is basically going at. I have to see that you care enough about this role to really want this role. Again, Pattinson is a very well-known troll for this stuff, and the media is always going to blow up things for what it is. But I get why people are a little bit concerned. Can I say for sure that he's working out? No. Do I think it's really going to affect the movie that badly? I don't think so, because I actually have a lot of faith in the director on this one to at least produce a good to great product that comes out of that. But
Okay.
I'm serious.
Because I have an opinion about that thing as well,
Go
and my theory on that was because Batman is my favorite superhero,
Of course.
and so far the iterations of Batman, which haven't all been great, but I feel like the older we get and we get more and more, iterations of new casting of Batman, we at least want the guy that's going to wear the cowl to at least take it seriously. Um, Now, I didn't know that Robert Pattinson is a known troll. I didn't know that at all.
He's a
So,
very he's a very well known troll. He literally says, "I don't like interviews because I feel like interviews I feel like interviews is just a way to please everybody, and not really produce a good product.
And that's fine and dandy, but also to the people who don't know that you're a troll and this is how you do things via interview. When you got just somebody who's just looking forward to see you in that role, and to make a statement like "I don't work out" or "I'm not gonna work out," it's like, well, I don't want no buck 50 Batman either out here fighting and shit. Like who
But
who are you gonna beat?
but to be fair, that was always going to be that was again, this was something that they were kind of talking about with this version of Batman. Like they had literally said that with this version of Batman, they're going to go kind of a little bit back to the roots a little bit of him. And what they mean
The
by that,
world's greatest detective thing, yeah.
yeah, the world's greatest detective. Detectives don't need to be buff. They need to know how to fight, but they don't necessarily need to be like the swole guy.
Right.
It wouldn't work with somebody like The Rock. It wouldn't work with some. It probably even wouldn't work with somebody like Idris Elba, right?
Right.
It would really work with someone. I guess you could kind of say Pattinson size, Nick Holt size. Guys that aren't traditionally going to be seen at for these action roles, but could be used for their weirdness and smartness and whatnot. So
No,
I'm
and that I totally agree with. Like that's fine. Like I don't need my Batman to be like Affleck was like yoked. I don't need him to be just above Batman. That's fine.
I don't
But
know if Affleck was yoked, but he looked exhausted by the end of it.
oh
Like
yeah,
he looked done. Like, and that's what I don't want. I want an actor who I'm going to be able to see is actually enjoying himself in the role. Affleck never enjoyed himself as Bruce Wayne or as Batman.
right.
Never enjoyed himself. You know, so that's where a little bit of the issue is. But let's give a little bit of credit to the director here. This isn't a guy that has produced shit. In fact, I don't think he's produced a bad movie uh, since basically the '90s. Matt Reeves. He produced Cloverfield, which was absolutely solid.
He directed Cloverfield.
He directed Let Me In, which a lot of people really love as a horror movie. He directed Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes. That was a trilogy that I feel like nobody talks about, but is one of the best trilogies that have ever come out because it was just everything was so solid. He was able to convince to get Andy Serkis to get on this Batman, who obviously worked with pretty greatly. So I don't really have a problem, with I don't personally have a problem with seeing where this is going to go, and I feel like Pattinson kind of knows exactly how he wants to work through this. That being said, you know we're spending a lot of time on this. This started out as a Snyder Cut talk. That being said, though, there has to be at some point at a final point in time where we need to be certain where DC is going, and we need to start having consistent hits. We need to start having like movies that are just good, products that are just good. A friend of mine pointed out a really really solid take, and he said this. He said, "Why is it that DC can go into their animated movies and produce something that is just minimum good,
Mm-hmm.
minimum good, maybe even okay-ish, on a couple of the weird ones, but he says there's never been a bad DC animated film. Why can't they translate that to the film?" And of course, there's going to be a lot of difference of opinion on that. But I gotta agree with him here. You know, Marvel has been around for a long time, and we've kind of got the gist of their stories now. And if Marvel never produces another good movie after this, which I don't think is going to be the case at all,
Right.
we can say, "Wow, that was a really fucking great 12 years of movies. Thank you so much." But
And they have a long way to go to even reach that level because this run has not been a good run at all. It's been uh, somewhat decent with Man of Steel, and then Batman BVS was horrible. You like Wonder Woman? I thought it was okay. Justice League
was Justice League. Aquaman was, you know, Aquaman was a little too fat. You know, it's hard for me to watch Aquaman again and not think that this couldn't be better as a two-part movie. But Aquaman was minimum good to great. Shazam I thought was good. Birds of Prey was just okay. Like there's scenes I like, and then there's stuff that I'm like, come on guys, like
What are we doing?
stop with this. I don't know.
What are we doing? Yeah.
Again, and then of course there's Joker, you know, and Joker was downright amazing. So, you know, stuff's gotta happen. You know,
So okay. So last thing before we move on, what is your overall faith in DC right now? Like, where can what do you hope? What do you expect to come out of this?
the Snyder cut, I
Well,
think
the whole thing, including
faith currently shaky. Because I feel like there's still not enough hits to justify. Because here's the thing with Marvel, if you go and rewatch Marvel leading up to the Avengers, all those movies in between, even you would say, even everybody would say, wow, they really had a string of just okay movies. You know, Captain America: First Avenger, I personally thought was good. I know a lot of people thought it was okay. The first Iron Man is great. The first Thor was okay. You know, but there was so much buildup and excitement to that first Avengers movie that when it dropped, everybody was worried, but Whedon nailed it, right? Um, on the DC side, they refused to do that. And because they refuse to follow that formula, it's like, well, until another format is released, until another formula is released of success, I don't have a lot of faith. You know, I would like to see. Do I think there's good movies that can be made with each one of these movies? Absolutely. I think Wonder Woman 1984 had a lot of promise to it. You know, had a lot of ideas and a lot of promise to it. But you know, until I can see hit after hit after hit, you know, give me 3 movies in a row where it's just like, wow, these are great movies. Then I could say, you know what? All right, I think I'm ready for a Justice League movie again. I think I'm ready for a new Batman. I think I'm ready to bring back Cavill, which I'm most excited about when it comes to that. You know, I don't know. What about
all in all, I'm with you. Give me 3 consistent hits, and then we can actually talk about stuff that you're kind of shooting for. You know what I'm saying? Because if we're going off of the 3 consistent hits, I guess you can count Aquaman. Aquaman crossed the billion. Shazam, I believe, crossed the billion too, didn't it?
you? It came close.
Came quite close, yeah, for sure. And then after that came with Birds of Prey, which was okay at best. So I'm with you. Give me 3 consistent hits, and then we can talk about goals and where we should really be taking this to. Because the one thing that will always be attached to DC right now is the fact that everything just felt so rushed. Everything felt like you just had to get that crew movie out now. Like no, Marvel didn't get to that point just rushing. Like they got to that crew movie because it was earned. We finally got to that crew movie because it was earned. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's get into this weird ass movie you decided.
Yeah. All right, so real quick, so Super Throwback was actually something that the movie suggestion today came from me because one, I had already watched the movie, and two, I never quite got Dave's full blown take on this movie. We've talked about it before, and, you've always been very nonchalant, like I mean, like no, I want to know what that really is. You know what I'm saying? I want to know what's that about. So with that being said, today's Super Throwback, we are taking it back to 1995 with Virtuosity. Original release date, August 4th of 1995. Shares opening weekend with Babe, Bushwhacked, and Something to Talk About. Real
Which
quick.
everything they need to know about this.
Real quick.
Uh,
Bushwhack.
what's that?
Bushwhack could be another good movie pleasure.
Bushwhack. Bushwhack is horrible. It's
But it's fun though. Bushwhack is fun. Babe, I'll do Pig. I'm good on that. And I don't
Babe. When we were kids, Babe was fine.
when we were kids, Bushwhack was great. Okay? Hell, when we were kids, I thought Virtuosity was the shit. I love this movie.
But maybe you had bad opinion.
Production budget is $30 million with a box office total of $24.1 million.
This movie had a $30 million budget with the graphics it had in this. Oh my God. They're painful to watch now. They're painful to watch. Why? Why is a movie like Jurassic Park, who admittedly has a much higher budget than this movie would ever possibly get, but why does this movie look like it belongs smack dab in the middle of 1985? It looks like it belongs right in the middle of 1985.
Well, wait a second. You got to give it. Number one, the movie has 32% on Rotten Tomatoes currently.
That may be too high.
Oh no! See, no. So now we're gonna debate about some shit because you got to give it credit for what it at least did. What it at least did for me.
What? Okay. What did this movie do? You know what this movie did? This movie hammed in a Denzel Washington performance. I've never seen Denzel ham in a performance until this movie.
Where's my gun line?
You know
that shit?
That hurts. I love Denzel. To see him ham it in hurts.
He has to ham. Listen, Russell Crowe is hamming this shit up. He has to. He's over the top. Russell Crowe in this movie was like Jim Carrey as like the Riddler.
No. He's like Jim Carrey as the Mask, full blown in this movie, which admittedly is a little interesting because there's nothing funny about Russell Crowe. There's nothing funny about Russell Crowe. That's why he plays badass. You know, he can say funny lines, you know, that are written for him, but there's not a comedic aspect to him. You know.
Even even the music in this movie, which I played earlier in the show, even the music in this movie opens with this kind of like 90s porn song. Okay,
it sounds like it sounds like guitar riffs you would hear from the old like PBS programming, Dare programming, you know, like one of those. It's bad. It's so bad. It's bad, Jay.
All right, so look, real quick. The music. Okay, so
if I was on LSD, all right.
You can't say that though. It's not an acid trip of a movie. It's weird.
It's not an acid trip of a movie?
No.
How?
Listen.
If I was on acid, this movie would probably speak to me in a lot of different formats. That's what I'm saying. For you to take in this movie as a logical person, because I'm more logical than I am, you know, in my own emotions and whatnot. Bro, you gotta be in an altered state. You can't be on this plane of existence.
I took a lot of time trying to figure out what fucking year are we in. What year is this?
Because they had an appearance of UFC, and UFC had 4 fighters in the ring. I was like, I don't remember UFC ever having 4 fighters.
Like, what year is this? And we're bouncing around. Even the scene where when Sid goes to that club, he's like finger DJing. Like, what year are we in? Like, what is this?
I'm really selling this movie for somebody who's like, you know what? I kind of want to watch this movie now.
I kind of want to watch it.
See how ridiculous it is. It is ridiculous. He's absolutely ridiculous. All right. This
All right.
movie kicks off with this funky guitar riff.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
It's
So I love it. I love it. That's what $30 million gets you.
it's a 1 a.m. strip club live band guitar riff is what you're hearing,
If a strip club had a live band.
and the shrooms are kicking in. It belongs better at a Grateful Dead concert than it does in an actual movie. But
And I'm not a Peter Gabriel fan, but turns out he did a lot of the music for this movie. I'm like, this is
which is even sadder because I'm a Genesis fan.
it's all right. Go ahead.
Oh my god, why does this movie exist? All right, this movie kicks off.
So we can talk about it. That's why.
It's in Los Angeles, and it's in the middle of a chase scene, which I'm usually pretty okay with because at least storyboard wise that at least intrigues me, because normally when an action movie, if you're going to sell yourself as an action movie, you kind of need to start off in an action sequence, to start off with. And the reason why is because it forces people to pay attention to you for the first 10 minutes of the movie, right? And this movie is an hour and 46 minutes, and you feel every minute of this movie sometimes. Every fucking minute of this movie. The dialogue makes no sense. It's in LA when we see Denzel Washington looking clean cut as Lieutenant Parker Barnes. Parker Barnes. Why does he have the widest name though? Like, why couldn't they give him a more cultural name? Why Parker?
Like Dante Jackson?
No, it doesn't have to be Dante, I'm not saying Dante. I didn't say Tyrone.
Dante Barnes?
No, Parker. But, bro, Parker. If I say the words Lieutenant Parker Barnes, does your image go to Denzel? No.
Now it does. For years it has, actually. When we say Parker Barnes, I think Denzel in this movie.
Okay, fine. But if you had never seen this movie and you heard the name Parker Barnes, do you think Denzel? No. You think of, like, I don't know, Michael Cera. That's exactly what you think of. You think of a kid who is serving you a latte from not even a Starbucks because he's too hipster for that. Because his fucking name is Parker.
Parker Barnes.
Lieutenant Parker Barnes and John Donovan are tracking down a serial killer who is hilariously named Sid 6.7. So trying to do the 666 thing there a little bit at a restaurant in virtual reality. Sid, which is short for sadistic, intelligent and dangerous, which is a VR amalgam of the most violent serial killers throughout history. As they're getting chased, he causes Barnes's partner Donovan to go into shock, which kills him. Right, and this chase scene is weird because it's like in the middle of LA, but then it kind of gets. I don't know where in LA that they find that version of a Chinese restaurant that I've ever seen.
I think that was built for sure, but it looks like
we had the sliding doors and everybody is.
It looks like they're in Century City, what appears to be like Century City. But once the movie opens, you kind of already know that this is not real because the way that Denzel's running, he's just
he's square the entire time.
He's super square the whole time, so you know it's not real.
So now, back in the day at like Dave and Buster's, right? They used to have this VR game in like the mid 90s, and it kind of reminded me of this because they really wanted people to experience like a 3D area, and so they kind of had like an octagon that you would stand in the middle of, and you would kind of move around in the octagon with the bars kind of keeping you in place, right? And from your screen, you're able to kind of see whatever, and you're able to shoot and you kill a pterodactyl. This movie has slightly better graphics than that because when Barnes gets shot, there's a It looks like a shot from Duke Nukem. It looks like there's just like, okay, there's a bullet hole. And I mean, it's not a small bullet hole. Most bullet holes are maybe that big, very tiny, right? You kind of see that. This one was like that big in his shoulder. I was like, did you fucking take out the entire shoulder? Did you like
No, dude. Listen, like this whole scene flows like it's like it's a video game, but the video game focuses on like non-player characters. You know, it's a bunch of NPCs because
NPCs
the
now.
sushi, the whole like how they're walking around the sushi thing, and like, what game is this? It feels weird.
Now, there's a difference of performances that are being held here because Denzel is kind of dialed in. He's kind of at certain points in this movie, he's just kind of he's just cashing the paycheck, right? Russell Crowe, who hadn't quite made a name for himself yet, oh,
He's all in. He's all in.
He's not only all in, he doesn't blink at all in this movie. It's a little weird. I've never seen Russell Crowe never blink in a movie. It just kind of freaked me out because it's this intensity that he has in there that I'm like, is this real? But the problem is that it's kind of hard, especially when you know their work later on.
They work together. Yeah.
Right. You don't really see Russell Crowe in bad guy roles for a good reason. Denzel makes a much more compelling villain, But of course, at the time, Denzel was the bigger star, so they had to kind of give it to him a little bit.
Now, I said this because like once Sid kills John Donovan and they bring them down, they bring them. Oh, like you mentioned that horrible graphic scene where Sid puts his thumb in like Barnes' wound and he just kind of like evaporates.
Yeah.
But basically, think about it. They explained that Sid 6.7 has over 200 serial killers in his mind, right? But this training exercise that you have the LAPD officers do, or for them rather, and you have convicts kind of going under to be the guinea pigs of this thing, bro, you're setting your police officers up to fail. 200 serial killers in this one particular person, right? And then not to mention, and later on in the movie, it'll prove that to you, he can bend fucking reality too.
Right.
Who's beating you? Who's gonna beat this man?
Which again, and this is kind of where this is where I kind of like my first question. How in the world are all these serial killers that are being used, like the dominant serial killer and whatnot? How are they all acting with each other to become this antagonist? Because over 200 of them, but that's 200 different personalities. And they were kind of going through without like which personalities it was. First of all, they showed Adolf Hitler, which I thought was hilarious because I'm like, he wasn't necessarily a serial killer. I'm sure he never fired a gun at a man, but he was definitely a terrorist. like you can easily say that. They showed like John Wayne Gacy, right? The clown, which again kind of had a certain way about him. They showed like
Dahmer,
They showed Dahmer, and I'm like, so is this dude going to take a bite out of somebody? Because he
does though. He does.
Who does he do that to?
Later on, the Kapow scene, the UFC scene.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right on that.
He's ready to bite the chick. Yeah.
So in some ways, it's kind of interesting because you're asking the actor to act as if 200 different personalities of serial killers are all within you, which is incredibly unstable. Also, are you also going to take the good aspects of the personality, or you only take the evil aspects? Of course, it has to be the evil aspects. That's what SID stands for. So I don't know. It had the concept is interesting, but I don't know the execution was. Anyway.
And it just so happens that the one killer that Sid needs in his psyche is the one that Parker Barnes has the biggest beef with, which is Matthew Grimes, who kills his wife and his kid.
Mm-hmm. All right. And throughout this, it gets very interesting. So the director overseeing the project before Commissioner Elizabeth Dean and her associate William Wallace, just a whole bunch of names, don't worry, orders the program. I'm serious. They're just a whole. It's just a whole bunch
of names. Who cares?
Who cares? I'm serious. Literally, it's tough for me to remember anybody else's name that's not Sid 6.7 in this
or Parker Barnes
because they're so from here on out. I am only going to refer to them as who the actor actually is, so I can help you guys understand what I'm talking about. So orders this programmer who's Dr. Daryl Lindenmeyer is actually not.
Oh, easily my that fool is him.
Absolutely,
easily.
Steven,
such a squirm.
Steven Spinella to shut down the project, but he gets a little too testy on this. Barnes is a former cop, and when I really like this, I gotta say it, I really like this scene because when they pull him out of the VR and you're seeing the one dude like die. First of all, they were totally hamming in like the EMTs on that because they were just like, all right, clear. They don't even have the paddles in the right spot. They don't even have the paddles in the right spot.
It doesn't matter. We're trying to move along, Dave.
You're shocking his lung. There's no electricity in the lung.
Not to mention when they're both going through their psychotic breakdown, whatever it is, and it cuts to the screen that shows both Parker and Donovan, their brain functions like frying itself up. That was fucking painful. Like,
right.
They should both be dead, right?
Right. So Barnes comes out, and my guy, woo! I gotta talk about this look because it was a statement. He had the short dreads, like all creeping out back, super clean. Which I'm like in prison that would never happen. It would never be that clean, but it was clean. And he had the goatee and beard. I was like, man, that is an unrealistic look for this. Why did he look like that going into the program instead? And then he comes out clean shaven and whatnot. It killed me.
Well, so did John Donovan. They both come out pretty bearded up, hair. You know, in the simulation, they're both clean cops. So. But what now was John Donovan a cop as well? Because in the next scene where Denzel fights the skinhead.
No. Donovan wasn't a cop. They were just using. So, okay, now I really got to talk about kind of the entire problem with this entire script. Like, you're using inmates to track down serial killers, for cop training. That doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. You could use ex-military, and if you want to say that about Donovan, like, okay, cool, then he's ex-military. So only made sense to have Barnes in there. I have no idea why Donovan is in there. He doesn't. They don't mention that he had any sort of training or whatnot. It doesn't matter. Donovan's dead anyway. Barnes is a former cop who was in prison for killing political terrorist Matthew Grimes. Who also killed Parker's wife and daughter, but he also killed some innocent bystanders, which they kind of show later on in the movie. And I kind of don't want to fault him for that because he comes out, he tries to save his wife, and Grimes' whole thing is that he says, "This one's for you," right?
Hey Parker,
this one's for you, and he goes and he blows up. He blows up his wife and daughter, causing Parker to lose his arm, right? Mm-hmm. And Parker comes in and just basically one man armies this with one arm. And he literally...
I got something to say.
He literally...
One of my biggest issues with this movie, Parker has this bionic arm. He never fucking uses.
He only uses it one time.
Once.
And that is literally at the end of the movie. And I totally forgot he had a bionic arm.
You forget the whole time he has one. Oh, wait a minute. Do you know bionic arm?
I have a bionic arm this entire time?
You don't use it? at all.
You don't worry about damaging the tissue. It's metal. They proved there's an iRobot because they did the same thing to Will Smith. It was the exact same arm. It was the exact same arm. And Will Smith is using the crap out of this bionic arm, just going at it with these people.
Denzel does not use his bionic arm at all. One time. And that's really to use a tube. Oh my God. He never used that arm in the entire movie.
So Barnes gets put back into prison. And he basically goes out to whatever the cell block, and some dude who is obviously probably belonged in the South, has a whole white power tattoo on there. I was like, okay, this guy's going to cause trouble. And he basically goes and he gets into a fight with them and whatever. And he's trying to find a way to basically get out of prison because he's given 17 to life, right? Meanwhile, Steven Spinella informs Russell Crowe that he is about to be shut down because of a failsafe that's being tampered. But Sid instead made a suggestion. He said, "Why don't you find a way to bring me out there?" And he basically convinces this other actor. The character's name is Clyde Ridley. I don't think I've ever seen Kevin Jake O'Connor in another movie.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Oh yeah, there will be blood
in the Mummy. And no, he's also Benny in the Mummy. Yep.
Fair enough. All right, so they basically get Kevin J. O'Connor, who is like mad dogging this virtual reality prostitute, right? Which is everything you need to know about. I need to repeat this so you guys can understand that. A virtual reality prostitute that he basically, just why do you need to be in the game? Just you got to treat it. You got to treat it how we do porn nowadays. It's around you. You hear it. You get the same experience. Maybe you don't feel it. Get a flashlight.
Now, okay. So when you get to the switching of the modules, let me jump in because I hate this scene.
Okay. So a couple of things, because this kind of requires some hoodooky science. For whatever reason, glass has to be used, right? I mean, glass, like what's on this table right now, right? I don't understand. I don't know why, but apparently it helps regenerate and process, which makes no sense to me. Okay, because I've never seen glass repair anything. I've never seen glass. I've seen glass make stuff,
let alone DNA.
In repairs. I don't literally sit there and think, wow, gee, I really could use some glass right now to repair this. No, it's a slow moving liquid. Leave the shit alone. So this scene where they kind of replace the Sheila model, which is a virtual reality prostitute, with whatever. First of all, Clyde Riley is basically okay. Kevin J. O'Connor. Have you ever watched the TV show Archer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kevin J. O'Connor is essentially Krieger. Right? He has a whole bunch of little experiments, names his experiments, cuts off the tail of a snake, and then watches it regrow. But the minute that you take out the chip, the minute you take out the chip in the thing, the snake dies, which plays a part in the future, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
So basically, if I cut my hand off and I put my hand to some glass, my hand will grow back.
Exactly.
If I pull out the module at the back of my head, that's the life death.
You're nano death, which makes no sense. It's just death. You don't need to add an extra syllable on top of that.
No, it's nano death.
Nano death. What? What is nano death? There's nothing nano-ish about it. It's death. It doesn't matter what size of the scale. It's not like, somebody destroys a planet and said, oh, that was giga death. No, it's just death everywhere. It's just death. It's still the same. It's still the same idea of how much of what your end product is. It does not matter the quantity. It's not, if one person dies, that's not a nanon death. You know, it's just death. One
It's
person
just
dies.
death, really.
No.
But so you're not the part where
Oh, they're switching.
Daryl,
Please take over.
yeah, you're at
There's
the part where Daryl, the little weasel that he is, he takes both Sheila's module and Sid's module, switches them, really throwing Sheila's away somewhere and putting Sid's in Sheila's, which is
right.
so weird because the actual birth of Sid, I fucking hate. The actual birth of Sid, they put him into like this pool of like nano something.
Okay, they basically find a goo, a goo, right, and he spurts up from a goo to turn into a full face hugger from
Cocoon.
alien's egg. Like that doesn't really make a lot of sense.
That's why I hate it. Listen, it was like, wait a minute, this is a computer program, right? Okay, cool. Why do a cocoon with aliens? What the fuck is? Not to
Why
mention,
is there a cocoon?
why is there a cocoon? Not to mention, when the body is like forming, it's like women moans in the background. Like, wait a minute,
Oh,
what the
oh,
fuck is going
oh,
on?
oh! I was creeped out. I was like, this is supposed to be great. This is supposed to be awesome sci-fi. No, this is a horror movie.
Like, what the hell is going on?
Himself from watching all this, he'd be like, no, no, no.
And so once he turns around to them, he's fully Sid now. He's able to jump off the cocoon onto the ground, land perfectly, kill Riley, and then does a
Oh,
fuck, you're fine. You're fine from jump.
gravity. What?
Oh
I
my
love
god.
about Sid 6.7. When I say he is full on The Mask, I watched The Mask recently, and it's still very funny. It's very raunchy, but it's still very funny. In everything that does. And Sid 6.7 is just going for it. It has to have a camera in front of him. You know, even in his own VR system, he's like pulling a flower. He's like pulling a red flower out of the air. You know, he like comes behind and he kind of, he like creepily like puts his hand on Sheila's ass, and I'm like, ugh, like
You are creepy.
stop, Russell Crowe. Like who's giving you direction in this movie? Please stop. You're not making a lot of sense to me. So here's another thing that kind of that I'm just kind of like that didn't feel naturally good. So 6.7 is out, right? Sid 6.7 is out. The minute after he kills Riley and he kind of walks nakedly to do whatever, right?
His kung fu
It
thing.
cuts to the next scene where basically the LAPD is basically like, oh shit, like there was no natural transition of like, wait, how is Sid 6.7 out? Why haven't we? Who would have authorized this? How did this all become a thing?
There are no questions at
It was
all.
literally there was no question about it. Sid 6.7 is out. We need to get Barnes out of there. What? What?
And then Barnes is like,
Barnes.
real
This
quick,
guy is real now. He's real. Why do you need Barnes? He's real. Why can't the rest of your cops go out there and get? There's no point to having Denzel go. Denzel's an inmate.
he's a real thing now.
He's real. All you have to tell him is, hey, all you have to tell your police officers is gang up on him, shoot him repeatedly until he goes down, pull the chip out of his brain, and he's done. That's all you had to say. Those are the orders. Your LAPD. What, are you guys so short-staffed at your UFC events that you have to call an inmate?
Yeah.
There's no point to Denzel in this movie. There's no point to Denzel in this movie, which is what drives me nuts. So, Billy Cochran, who is played by, of course, Billy Forsyth, because of course Billy Forsyth is in this movie. Basically offers Barnes a chance if he catches Sid and brings him back to virtual reality. He's released from prison. What? Okay.
Like
Hey, like all I have to do is capture this guy. All I have to do is capture this guy. All I have
And
to
I'm
do is
free.
capture this guy. So of course he agrees with it, and they discovered that they basically discovered that Matthew Grimes is part of SID 6.7. He kills a couple of security guards and he heads over to the Media Zone, a local nightclub, because
Now this is when your theory about being on acid kind of comes into play, because this whole scene is
oh
fucking nutty.
this is one of those scenes that they think they're too good for themselves.
This scene is just way too nutty for me.
The first thing that happens that he walks in and he's wearing a green suit, right? He walks in and two women are recording him as he walks in, no problem. And you're seeing a psychedelic image of him in the background, like being played. And he's all like, I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful.
Real quick, what kind of club is this to where I walk in and I'm immediately being filmed by some shit like, excuse me.
Right.
Can I buy a drink first?
This may actually be my most iconic scene because Crow is going, this scene is too long. This scene is actually too long for this format of a movie, but they are playing this movie like nobody's business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he goes to order a drink, and of course they pull a total recall. They have a robot bartender.
Which I'm like, once again, what year is this? What year are we in?
I don't know. Like, you got robot bartenders, but you can't make robot cops?
What year is this?
So he orders a drink. I don't know what is up with this. Okay, again, I have to question the motive of like the budget of this film, because I can't understand a fucking word the bartender is saying to him, because he's kind of talking like he's talking out of a stoma from his neck, right? Mm-hmm. He's just rah, 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 like doing one of those, and I'm like, bro, can you imagine if you're wasted and you're trying to order another drink from this bartender? Mm-hmm. Drink, sir. You're not going to be able to understand him. You're not going to be able to understand. I don't understand why. Why is this? Why, Jay? Why?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like once I saw, and mind you, I forgot all about the robot bartender. I swear to God. So when I watched again, I'm like, wait a minute.
I don't understand.
What year is this? How is there a robot bartender? Never mind that whatever this band is playing on, this really freaky finger DJ thing they're doing. And like you got Tracy Lords just kind of sitting there, kind of vibing out and shit. But you're mixing with your fingers. How do you know what's what? And I guess Sid being a computer or an alien version of a computer, I don't know. But whatever Sid is, he's able to do that.
They're not clearly marked. You can't see any markings on them. At least make them different colors. The drum sections are red. The percussions are blue.
It's all white.
All white. So then he goes and he starts playing some form of like symphony, and he's like, I really, and this is where kind of the idea of the serial killer in him really comes out, because he basically wants an audience, and he wants not only an audience, he wants the idea that somebody's basically watching, and that this makes that this basically helps him in some way, shape, or form. Because he basically gets off on this. For example, he's pulling these hostages after he shot this RoboCop, this Robotender. After he shot Robotender, he's going and he's pulling people, and he's all like, you guys really need to put it into. I want everybody to scream, ah, and it's like it has to be harmonious, This is my symphony of collision, and stuff like that. When Denzel finally shows up, he lights him up.
Wait, hold up. My headphones came out. One second. When Denzel shows up, that guitar riff, dum 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 dum, like time for some action.
Denzel shows up and he basically lights it into him, and I mean lights him up. You know, he first of all, that's pretty accurate shooting, regardless.
Doesn't reload once.
Doesn't reload once, not at all. Puts about 16 bullets into Sid 6.7. Sid 6.7 escapes from that because he can auto heal, right? Which I'm like, okay, well that's unfair.
He can't auto heal. He has to eat glass like Pop Rocks, which I didn't.
Sure. He needs glass, right?
But here's the thing, though. He got shot in the chest. So why am I eating pop? Why am I eating glass? I can't just rub it on. I'm serious.
I never thought of it that way. Yeah, no, he's over here eating glass.
Like, it's so good. Like, no. If you got shot in the chest, I would assume to have that proper area that's affected regenerate itself. You just rub glass on the affected area.
Also, what happens to the rest of these bullets? Like that's where I'm really concerned about. Does it just sit in this gel thing in his body? And when do people believe that this guy is real or not? Anyways, he escapes.
And also, hey, I hate this a lot in early 90s movies. Early 90s action movies would do this all the time. The good guy is chasing the bad guy. The bad guy just hops over a banister or some crazy shit. Oh, he's gone. No, he went somewhere.
Okay, but there's another problem with that. So, is Sid superhuman? Because it doesn't really seem like he's actually superhuman. Bullets can hurt him. Mm-hmm. So, when he jumped over this banister thing, wouldn't his legs be injured? Wouldn't his legs or back be broken? Because he jumped over off the top of a highway to local streets. That's 300 feet.
So you need glass to get your legs back going again before you take off again?
What are you doing? Are you crawling? He had to be
fast. Right?
He had to be crawling. Right.
Hey, Parker, this is for you.
Separated. Why could you guys go down there and check if the body was... Of course not. Doesn't matter. Why am I even bothering? The next day, Sid begins his killing spree at the Las Vegas Olympic Auditorium. Of course he does. And now he's upgraded his uniform from green to purple.
He stole the guys from the club. Yeah.
Right. Still trying to find stories about himself. He decides to go to this UFC event. And I do say Ultimate Fighting Championship because holy crap, it's an octagon. And there's two guys fighting in this octagon. And
Kapow!
And there's two guys fighting in this octagon. The place is pretty sold out, which I'm like, that doesn't feel like a UFC event. I was like, UFC event
at that time, no.
At that time probably didn't sell out. And it was kind of legit. He's there on the third row. He goes and he sees a girl. He sees a girl that's basically like on the TV, and he's all like, they love you. First of all, it goes up to her ear and whispers, "They love you, and I'm gonna make you famous." And like proceeds to like kind of nibble on her, right? And she's like, "Oh, get away from me!" Her boyfriend, who, where are you, dude? Like
this whole time,
her boyfriend is just like, "Hey, man, like stop." He goes and he picks him up over his head like this and throws him. And he almost lands in the cage. Anyway, so he almost lands in the cage. And he basically kind of does this whole thing. And Carter figures out where he is. You know, he's standing in the middle of the UFC ring like this. You know, like he's just the world's greatest fucking thing. Mm-hmm. And of course, Carter unloads on him, puts like another 15 bullets into him.
Doesn't reload once.
But of course, This time, though, he gets a hostage situation, which gives him PTSD, and all the onlookers going. As Carter is holding his gun out to him, Sid goes and he unloads in the hostage through the back. Right? And at this point, they thought, the LAPD being stupid because they're the LAPD, and he escapes on a train, by the way. The LAPD being dumb decides to say, "There's no way. Like, no, you're going back to prison. Like, okay, so go with your original idea about the whole point of this. This is still a man. This is still a virtual man. You just need to get the disc." One
whole scene,
headshot would have done this.
That whole scene is I also despise because, mind you, Parker kills the hostage, seemingly thinking either he's still in the VR world or whatever. You know what I'm saying? However, the comments around this is hilarious because one lady goes, "But he's a cop, but he did it. He did it in cold blood."
It was like, leave it to the white lady to say cold blood.
He did it. He did it in cold blood.
That lady has been hired by the SAG community now.
Get your snitch on back without trade.
Because she has a line in the movie. Anyways.
But he did it in cold blood.
Barnes is freed from his prisoner transport by Sid 6.7 because why the fuck not? Who once again escapes. And as they are about to terminate, Barnes is so Barnes has a microchip in his head, right? They're about to terminate him with a fail-safe device, which is very weird. So you're just gonna kill the guy because he escaped? Like, it really didn't make a lot of sense there. It kind of seems very weird. But instead, Billy Forsythe decides to destroy the transmitter after learning that from Carter that Barnes didn't kill the hostage on the train. This movie kind of culminates in a very weird way because Sid goes and he kidnaps the one person I haven't mentioned at all in this movie because that's how forgettable she is in this movie, Madison Kelly Lynch. They kidnap her daughter, who once again barely even mentioned because that's how little impact she has. The evil scientist, which again I have a lot of problems with him, Steven Spinella, sees what Sid is doing and is impressed, but is later held hostage by Kelly Lynch, right? Is later held hostage by.
More than that, before we get to that part, Lindemeyer, Daryl, is there scenes where it cuts back to him in like some seedy motel. And
right. And he writes something like "fuck the pigs" or something like that.
Yeah, like he goes, "Die pigs die" or some shit. He goes, "That's right, Sid. Made them believe in you." What the what?
It. You're the victim here.
You're the victim here, not me. Anyway,
stupid ass. A fight culminates between Sid and Barnes, and it's kind of a whatever fight. It winds up happening that Sid gets sliced in half by a whole bunch of glass and begins to get reformed. Begins to get reformed when they pull out and cause nano death.
Okay, listen. You say that so nonchalantly. Sid falls quite a feat down and lands in this glass that ultimately just chops him up completely, right? If the regeneration process includes glass and you're laying in a fucking pool of it, why aren't you already starting to regenerate?
Oh, because it takes a second. Or whatever. Because he has to go back in a cocoon or whatever. I don't know. Okay? I don't know. This is a really bad movie.
So, go ahead.
Anyways, they pull out the chip. Sid dies, right? There's still like 25 minutes left in this movie.
Like
Right?
fuck 15. Relax.
So, and they don't know where Karen is, right? So they have to put him back into VR, right? And again, a lot of weird stuff happens. This is a very weird conclusion to this movie. They put Sid back into VR, and Sid's just like, oh, I'm back in VR. I'm back in VR
I'm back in the box.
after they figure out the location of him. Meanwhile, Spinella goes and kills my guy, Billy Forsythe, just because. I'm like, why is there not an extra cop here? You guys already know that he's the one that did it. You know he's the one that.
Yeah, I never understood it. Why is it just
why is there one cop? Why isn't there like a gang of cops, getting ready, and an EMT staff getting ready to go, because remember, one of them got cause shock, Basically, they find a location and they go to the spot. But of course, because Sid 6.7 knows so much about Barnes, he goes and basically puts like a fail safe to where the daughter is at, right? And I don't know. This ending is weird. I don't like.
Do you want to take it from there? I'll take.
Take the ending because that's how bad it is.
I see looking like somebody called somebody, and I'm just like,
I feel like I got the taste of like a really really bad like broth in my mouth from them.
All right, so listen. So all right, so Sid discovers he's back in the box. Cochran lets Carter out of VR, but as that's happening, Daryl attacks Cochran, kills him. Meanwhile, Carter is still getting out of her woozy phase that she was just in VR. Meanwhile, Barnes is waiting to be sent back out of VR, but of course, Cochran is killed. Now it's a fight between Daryl and Carter. Now, cut to where we are in VR. For some reason, Sid can now alter reality like crazy. So he goes, "You're in my world now," which leaves Barnes falling for fucking everything.
You're in my world now.
Right? So he's falling, and I'm like, okay, so if this was real, your cops are fucked because not only does he have 200 serial killers, he can also alter reality. Whatever. But anyway, moving on. So they finally figure out where Carter's daughter is. They go to Carter's daughter. The first time and the only time Denzel uses this damn bionic arm is to pretty much break the fan that she's pretty much hidden inside of, and then to use his ripped up skin inside the ripped up skin to pull out the little tube that's needed to, mind you, nothing is labeled on this bomb, by the way. Nothing is labeled. But the input goes to the output goes to the input, and we should be good to go. And nothing is labeled. So every time Carter makes a bad, every time Barnes makes a bad mistake, the image of Sid goes, I thought of that too. Turns out, by putting it to the input and the output, with the input and the output, he made the computer pretty much skip itself, letting the little girl go free, stopping the bomb, and then get this really cool look. You get this awkward moment between Carter and Parker. They didn't like each other. It's kind of weird, but whatever, moving on. And then Parker goes to the roof, the highest roof, with now the module of Sid 6.7 in his hand. And he looks around for a second, looks at it one more time.
I got so mad at this.
The song Parker.
Throw it. I was like, don't throw it. I was literally yelling at my TV, don't you fucking throw it.
He's going to throw it. But listen, think about it though. This is it, Sid. Me and you, baby. And he throws it, right? He's on the fucking roof. It's gonna break, you know what I'm saying? And then once it broke, a car ran over it.
It broke the glass, but apparently glass repairs it or whatever, because glass is glass and glass, right? Because that's
because glass does glass. So once he throws it and a car runs over it, Then you get that boom, dum, 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 and you get a really cool shot of Denzel walking 5 feet on a roof. Credits run. That's virtuosity. Yep.
There's a lot to digest there.
There is. There is. Will you watch this movie again?
I'd watch a remake. I don't. This is one of those movies that there's a concept in there that is interesting enough to turn into a remake.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of a virtual reality villain coming out, all weird and everything, coming out into the real world, and starting a killing spree. That's kind of cool, right? I don't understand. This movie is actually not badly casted, but it's so poorly written that after a while you're like, how did these guys ever sign up for something like this?
Like, what about the script? Say, you know what? I'm down for this. I'm down for this.
Because after a while, you just gotta you gotta throw questions out there. Like, it's not like this is Denzel at a bad time in his life. This is Denzel at a pretty good point in his life.
He's hot. He's definitely hot right now.
And it's not like Russell Crowe. We already know what Russell Crowe would wind up being. And maybe he hadn't gotten what he wanted, but I don't know.
You seem very disappointed.
It's not that the movie's not rewatchable. It's that you kind of have to rewatch it in an altered state of mind. That's the way I'm going to look.
You have to know what's coming, and if you know what's coming, it makes it number one, it softens the blow, but then you get more enjoyment out of it because you know what's going to happen. Like,
right.
Even a small shit like he did it in cold blood. I know that part is coming. I just can't wait to hear it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right.
Takeaways.
All right. Takeaways.
That guy war. Who you got?
Did 6.7. Denzel is dialing it in this movie. Russell Crowe is really trying to make a name himself in this movie, and as ridiculous of a character he is, it's actually kind of compelling.
All right,
a 200 personality serial killer is at least interesting for me.
than the cop trying to stop him.
Yeah.
All right, that chick award.
The hot chick at the UFC, who's like who's getting macked on by Sid 6.7 because she was more believable in this role than whoever the fuck Kelly Lynch is.
All right. That full award.
Easily Spinella. Oh my God. At what point did you just say, is this a good idea? Is any part of this, is there a moment where you just say, I know I had a couple of hiccups there. But I could probably find myself a job with another corporation, or whatnot. Instead of just saying, you know what? I think my worst disaster ever is what I need to make. Spinella.
Let's go with cut that up.
He did it in cold blood.
He did it in cold blood.
Oh my God, that line was awful. That line may have been one of the worst lines I've heard spoken in the movie.
And iconic scene.
Sid 6.7, smack dab in the middle of a nightclub, doing his whole sympathy thing. It's so ridiculous and dumb and brings nothing to the movie but character development. And it's still probably more iconic than anything else in this movie.
Okay.
Just getting you that guy award.
That guy award is going to go to Sid 6.7 as well. I love Denzel. Parker Barnes is just a run-of-the-mill cop to me. But Sid 6.7, the character itself, like you said, is fucking ridiculous. But at the same time, that much more like fun to watch. You know what I'm saying? To see how crazy he'll actually go. So Sid, definitely.
Okay, that's your award.
I'm gonna split it between the chick at the UFC fight and Carter's daughter. Carter's daughter is an annoying child, but at the same time, she just a curious kid. You know what I mean? So, and she found herself in a bad situation. Also love hate the fact that when Parker goes, "We're okay, we're okay, we're okay." Like that part to me is like it's let's hammer it on up. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kelly Lynch probably had like only one other good role. That was the movie The Jacket, which I really enjoyed. That's Adrian Brody, Keira Knightley movie.
Keira Knightley, right? Yeah.
That Full Award.
Easily, Daryl. Uh, bro, you could have easily got a job anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever you think this is, it ain't it. But you feel like, well, to show them, I'm Sid 6.7 world. I said, let's have them stop you now, huh, Sid? Uh, okay. If that's your thing, cool. So yeah, definitely Daryl.
Cut that out.
Cut it out. Wow. What cut out of this movie? I ain't gonna lie. The entire Donovan fight scene made no sense either. I mean, granted, it happened, but I don't. It was just there to have Denzel fight somebody for a quick 30 seconds.
And of course, he had to fight racism. You know.
Cause that's good. Cause that's Denzel. He's got to fight racism.
Oh, and that's fine. Fight racism. That's fine. And finally, iconic scene.
I'm with you. The symphony scene, the whole club scene, actually, it's a great scene because it leaves you with so many answers, so many questions, things that just do not get answered. This air DJ thing that for some reason you just know how to use it off rip, and you don't. It leaves you with the overall question: what year are we in?
I don't know, man.
Yes.
Supposedly 2020.
All right, so let's kick off some quick hits. We can wrap this puppy up, man. Quick hits. According to Kelly Lynch, she and Denzel Washington were supposed to kiss. However, Washington had the scene dropped because he felt an interracial love scene would hurt the film's box office chances.
Michael Douglas was originally cast to be Parker Barnes.
What?
Of course. Of course. Also,
What?
do you know who played the little girl?
Kaylee Kuskos?
Yeah, Kaylee Cuoco. For
Yeah,
those for those Big Bang Theory fans.
Mm-hmm. Technically, this film takes place in 1999. I
Yep.
can't tell.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
William Forsythe basically plays the same role in this in The Rock. But this is, I mean, he always plays this character. There isn't a movie. I'm pretty sure he played the same character in Blue Streak also.
Yeah, I think he did. In this movie, Denzel Washington's character is charged with hunting down Russell Crowe's character. In American Gangster, Russell Crowe's character is charged with hunting down Denzel Washington's character. Ooh.
Big surprise there. That's all I got for quick hits. Unless you want to throw out one more.
I thought one more. Paramount Pictures considered casting Arnold Schwarzenegger as Parker Barnes, but his hefty price tag quickly put him out of the conversation.
Yeah, as it should. And
yeah, that would.
Yeah, that is, I guess, Virtuosity.
Virtuosity. You know what that was, Dave.
That was
a
format of a movie. I'm not sure if I'd ever watch it.
But overall, a good one, though. Thank everybody for coming out, hanging out with us on the couch or in Dave's backyard. Shout out to Dave's dogs, who made an appearance today as well. It's always a beautiful thing. Dave Jeanette, where can they find you?
You always find me on IG, Twitter, Facebook. David Angel Neff. I'm the co-host at Back to the Classics. We got a lot of stuff that's coming in the works. But man, are we ready to be out of quarantine?
We are busy and ready out of quarantine.
Pretty much. But that's where you can find me, David Dangerneff. My guy Jay Alonso, where can they find you?
On all the social media, simply at I am Jay Alonso. That's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Also, side note, I was the victim of a cyber hacking this weekend on Facebook. So if any one of my followers receive an awkward a message about Facebook grants and shit, that is not me. So I have a whole new page.
You
Thanks to
sent me,
Dave.
your hacker sent me a message when this first happened. Hey, you. And I'm like, bro, I've never heard Jay use that with a male, with a female.
Damn sure not with me.
What did I immediately do? I immediately reached out to you and be like, hey, bro, like, did you message me on Facebook?
So
because I was concerned. I was like, everything okay?
Me and Los were working on the battle between him and Kev, and I'm about to go on my Facebook to set up some stuff, and I get a text from Dave saying, "Hey, are you writing me on Facebook right now?" I was like, "No." I'm getting this weird ass message from somebody that's acting like you. Change your shit. Change it now. I'm like, oh, wow. But yeah,
like, it sound like you, because
it don't sound like you at all. But I did make a new page, so go ahead and jump on there and join the conversation just to make sure you know which page is which. I have a picture of myself with a sweater on, holding the beer. That's the page that you should be on. Everything else, not me. Of course, Back to Classics. Movie Talk page is up there popping. Spawn the Classics Movie Talk page is up there popping. Go ahead and jump on in there and join the conversation. Shout out to the whole Beat Network crew. Don't forget, tomorrow or today, depending on when you watch the show, me and Los will battle it out. Label versus label, 20 for 20. Rockefeller Records versus YMCMB. And of course, 2 Minute Drill Live is back up next Friday. So go ahead, jump in, sign up now to play the game, and we'll see you guys next week. Dave, I think that's everything, man.
I think that's it, man.
With that being said, see you guys next week. Of course, love you. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay quarantined. I am Jay Alonso. With me, of course, is
Danger enough.